Hey, thank you very much. It's a pleasure to be back again here, and it's a tough act to follow, especially with the previous panel that spoke a lot about how the DeFi is going to extend and the difference between alternate chains. And I really like the point that Meda mentioned about the expensive gas on Ethereum right now, because I'm addressing more of developing countries and how can we get DeFi to work for them. So, shall we start then? Um, what we are trying to build here is called DLN, Decentralized Lending Network, as a system that will change how we look and view DeFi, not by optimizing it for the yield, but I'm thinking more, how can we optimize it to achieve the highest impact? How can we help the millions and billions of people around the globe that need to be helped with blockchain technology that we have in our hand? If we are truly going to roll this out to the masses, well, half of the world does not have or is underbanked. So, what's the problem with microfinance right now? Well, there are 2 billion people that are unbanked, meaning that they don't have any access to banks to start with. We're not even talking about those that are underbanked, maybe have some sort of financial instruments, but they need more of it. And trying to address that crisis that we have, that it will only be exacerbated by the unfortunate events happening with COVID and around the globe, there are very few solutions. One of them are MFIs, like the micro lending that has been introduced by Dr. Muhammad Yunus, who is a Nobel-winning economist. But the problem with that is that it hit a ceiling. It cannot progress more. As much good as it does, it cannot progress anymore. So why is that? Because first, there is cost. When you are trying to create a micro loan, you have 30, sometimes 40% of the loan that has to be spent on origination, on creation, monitoring, and then the follow up on it, and to collect the loan afterwards. Then also access. Unfortunately, a lot of places don't have access to modern banking system or any sort of financial institutions. Hence, it is difficult to create those loans for people living in those areas. And then if you think about it, giving a loan to one person in a community does not help the community. But really what it does, it helps one person at most out of that community. So it is not sustainable, meaning we cannot really rely on it to feed itself and grow through it. So what is the solution? The solution is that we will be able of creating DLN that provides affordable loans with no fees and no interest at all. And they are universally accessible. That's done through a social staking smart contract, the aim of which is to unlock the capital in the community itself so that the community can coalesce together, because blockchain is all about community, which means it's going to be sustainable. So if a financial system can depend on the financial components that exist within it, it does not need governmental assistance, and neither does it require NGO subsidies. So we need to rethink, reimagine the current micro lending. The current environment has two components, basically traditional borrower and lender. That in that model, in order for the lender to extend the loan to the borrower needs to provide some sort of collateral, like here, hold this as collateral so I can give you a loan. Well, but if that borrower is unbanked and they don't have money to start with, what kind of collateral will they do? I mean, they cannot just give you two chickens and say like, hey, hold those for collateral. You'll spend more on them to maintain them. So what is the solution? So the solution is those that don't have collateral, they usually have friends. So and those friends usually perform the role of guarantor, backer, uh, and they put their own money on the line for their friends. But why can't we recognize them? Why can't we create an equation that includes all of them? That's what we've created here. We've added community investors. Why investors? Because we want your friends to invest in you. We don't want you to simply borrow money from them. So by creating that, now you have the borrower coming in and providing and asking their community to invest in them. So how can we organize that on the blockchain? Well, we will basically utilizing social staking smart contract to allow the borrower of creating a proposal. That proposal then is solicited and shopped to his friends, family, community investors that want to back that borrower. And when they commit their assets to the social staking smart contract, those are locked in. And as soon as the entire amount required is locked, we turn around to the lender and say, well, we have a fully collateralized 100% risk mitigated debt position. Would you provide liquidity for that debt position? And lenders will be quite happy because those are very secure positions. And hence, the lender can put the liquidity to the borrower, and the system invests the collateral in DeFi to generate ROI that can be then split between the community investors for helping their own friends and the lender for providing the liquidity, and one third goes to the actual network itself. So we started, after creating all of that stuff there, we started talking with different people on the ground. And when you are trying to introduce new things, some people like to create like direct to the masses solution, which could work, but in a highly regulated domain, like all the previous speakers mentioned, regulations are coming and all of those there. Transmitting money and dealing with money becomes a huge problem because you need to make sure that it is working in a right environment. So how do we deal with it? We basically have to think of a way that allows you to basically uh, 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 use and utilize the actual system that exists. That system are the MFIs. So we've spoken with a whole plethora of MFIs. 6 of them are the first tier to go through, and those span from West Africa to the Middle East to India. And those, when they looked at the model, they said, like, this is great. Can help us progress and help us really get to the objectives and the goals that we want to achieve in the system. Because before the DLN, there is no way for them to help more of their people and provide a way for them to provide incentives for their people to work through those. Those are 130 million in total budgets and 2 million people lives that will be changed in there. And what we have been doing is we're taking each one of them one at a time and rolling out this solution with them and using networks with low gas fees and high speed like Casper that allows us to basically serve more people and making sure that our DeFi component can operate at maximum efficiency to provide the highest yield possible so that the system can really grow faster and serve more people. But how does that work? Well, we want to make sure that we are generating all of those in the back end correctly, and at the same time providing a really good way of interacting with the users. So we all know that traditional banking have very low uh, returns, but the blockchain has more returns going through. But for the regular user, they don't know a lot about what DeFi is and how it works. So they need a simplified UI that can show them how it is. That's what we are doing with all our MFI partners, is creating a simplified application so that by having a very simple, intuitive AI that the system can use, people will use just like any other phone. So, for example, you are able of registering, you are able of logging in, you are able of creating your proposals, and then just like any system, you are able of sending an invitation so that people can see what are their friends asking from them. And once the invitations comes in, you can simply click on a button on your phone to invest in your friends and check how much you want to contribute towards them. And once you are done with the investment, you are now fully ready. And this way, you can get all the locked in amount to your friend. So in short, what I'm trying to say here is if we are able of thinking differently, if we are trying to use DeFi as a different way of thinking of how do we create a system that is quite efficient, that can take the current nice DeFi components that we've built and been talking about all day, and then direct them all the way to serving um, the people, to serve the masses, to be able of rolling out those benefits that we all have experienced, but on a larger scale, for those that are unbanked, for those that are really, really in dire need of every penny that we can help them generate in the system. Now we will be able of creating a new generation that not only adopts DeFi and blockchain, but they will be one of the biggest supporters because we are able of affecting their lives and the lives of their children and the community, and which will reflect on us very positively.